Here we go. Okay, welcome to Witch Bitch, where we talk the real tea. And today we have part 2 to Claudia coming on because last time it just cut off completely randomly. We're hoping it doesn't do it this time. I don't think it will, but
yeah, we're not putting it out there.
It was kind of a funny that was it, done.
Yeah.
And so I think it fitted quite well because now we have a part 2 a week later and a lot has happened. So there's a lot more to talk about. But first I think a good opening is like, how have you been in this past week? Because a lot is going on at the moment in our world.
Yeah, so I don't in detail kind of track what's going on around. I know you've got a lot of astrologers sharing a lot of technical detail. I don't follow it. It's fine. I will be fine. Whatever happens out there. I'm the queen of ground yourself daily to keep the chaos at bay. So that's kind of, I think that's where some of my calm comes in. I personally have gone through a bit of a big change. And I kind of did feel that I was pushing things with my self-care work in one way, whereas I was being told, no, you have to come here, but, I'm not going to listen. Why should I listen? What is the reason for me to not go there? Until eventually and then I just relaxed. And I said, well, what else is there? And it was like obvious. There was a question you had asked Juliet about, what was your spiritual awakening? And when I watched that part of the interview back, I could actually see how all the little dots connected. And the sort of, if you can call it epiphany for me, was to say, well, I've never just done one thing. I've always, I think in the corporate world, it's called being a generalist, but they look down on that. It's like, you don't look down on that. It's a skill of note or strength of note. And anyone who meets me, I always talk about a few topics, and that's just what I've decided to do. So self-care comes in under that now. It's just one thing that I'm going to be focusing on, Yeah. So some people called it a tumble dryer setting got stuck. So I don't know what it was like for you.
Oh my God. I've had the weirdest week, like energetic wise, I've probably ever experienced throughout awakening. Like, I don't know what it is, but last night I couldn't fall asleep. Yesterday I had this huge sense of like doom.
I remember you saying,
being like a wave of it, and something that I have a bit of a love-hate relationship about my life is how tuned into the collective I am. And sometimes, like this week, it has brought me down to really deep and negative thoughts and feelings and like that doom sort of state. And so I've had to figure out ways to pull myself out of it, but not in a way that's rejecting it, which is really hard because if I reject it, then I just go further into it. I've learned. And so, but I want to uplift myself. Like, I don't want to be down here. I know that it doesn't serve me. So I've been trying to figure out, and I have been doing it, is like how to lift myself. So I'm still like, doing what I have to, because there's a reason why I'm so tapped into the collective. So I'm still healing that. I'm still processing and facing these thoughts and feelings, but at the same time, I'm not letting it lower my vibration and my overall being, because then I get in just a spiral and that, tumble dryer sort of state. So, I think with everything going on, just it's been ramping up recently. And last night, I just had this big feeling that the world was going to end soon. I don't know. It was just crazy. It was like, we're going to go through the apocalypse. I need to go online and research like survival tips, and like I got to learn how to make a fire, and this was my process, and I'm like, actually, look, I'm not feeding into this. I don't want to spend my night on the internet looking at survival videos.
No.
So I'm just gonna like eat my food, watch Harry Potter, do whatever it is that I can, read a book, and just chill out, because I'm not gonna buy into the story of what they're really projecting out. And when I say they, I mean, you know, whoever they are, the higher elites of this society.
The manipulators, yeah.
And yeah, so that's been my week, has been really a lot of really high highs, and then a lot of really low lows, and just learning to separate myself from the collective while still allowing it to be there and allowing myself to feel what's coming up.
Yeah, it's like taking the observer role, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
And realizing that it's not you, you're tapping into something, it's not being generated through you.
yeah. But then, do you earth at all?
Yeah, I go on walks. I don't go barefoot in the city because we're like quite in a very suburban area. But my way of grounding is through breath work, yoga, going into nature when I can. And that's kind of what I've been sticking to. And also cooking is a really grounding thing for me.
Okay.
And so I've been doing a lot of cooking.
So when you were telling me about you feeling all these energies, the first thing that came to my mind is you just ground. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it into this big thing. I need to do all these 3 things and then I can go there. You literally just stand wherever you are, because you're feeling all of this. It's kind of landing on you, and the way to do it is immediately just stand wherever you are, barefoot, in your house, outside on the paving. You just stand and for a moment look down at your feet and recognize that planet Earth is right underneath that. And then you look at it, because our eyes need to see to believe sometimes. And then you just close your eyes and just kind of, it's like counting, like naming or recollecting all the things that are hitting you, and see them dropping off your body into Mother Earth. And Mother Earth will transmute all of that energy, not for us to carry. So when we do pick up those things, just immediately redirect and say thank you. You can do the same with stress. It's like an immediate putting down the baggage feeling,
Yeah.
And then you're like...
And letting it go.
Yeah.
Okay. When we get off that, off this,
Give it a go.
I'll give it a go for sure. For sure.
So, Claudia, you...
I like that.
We kind of glossed over what you were saying before. So you've actually changed your career. You've expanded it.
Yeah.
Since our last conversation.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
You've redefined it.
Yep. So I think when I started at my work, I looked at it in what is easy to explain in terms of marketing and talking about what it is I do for people. And I kind of got lost in, I can explain what earthing is. I can explain how meditation helps us. I can explain how to emotionally process difficulties, because I do that stuff in a few minutes with my clients, and it's done. It's dealt with for a number of years. Like, it's really, really processed. And I realized that I was feeling smaller and smaller and smaller the longer I was marketing my self-care work. And so when anybody meets me, I always use astrology to help them with simple self-awareness. So who are you by nature? You're one of the 12 signs. Or if you're lucky/unlucky, you're on the cusp and you've got to deal with 2. But it's also called a blessing. But I use that to help people just tune into who they are by nature. And it just simplifies a few things. And I studied Oracle cards. It's called Soul Coaching Oracle Card Reading with Denise Lin, and I got certified last year. And so that's quite a beautiful way to help people receive messages from soul. Because there's so much wrong about the Oracle card industry, but that's a topic for another day. And there's something else, and I use my intuitive guidance. I've got very strong intuition that when I sit in a room with you, I can kind of pick out what needs to be shifted back in place, etc. So yeah, so that's owning my title of being an intuitive guide, and happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So so after our conversation, you received some clarity around that, around your purpose.
Yeah, and so the thing that I think really, really excited me about making these shifts or taking a step back and just seeing it all in one picture is to say, what have I been doing and what would I love to do? And it's usually depending on where you are on your path, but the way I help people is to help them discover themselves. So I create self-discovery journeys. So it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant of age, irrelevant of work situation or what's going on in your life. Because astrology and all of those things are like a little, it's like a care kit or care package to give somebody to say, here it is. Now I can continue on your path, and maybe there's more clarity, maybe there's more information, maybe a little bit of the reflection back was useful. And then the other side of it is to help people recover. So you're stuck, you're low vibing, or you've been depressed, or you really, really struggle to shift out of what's going on. And it's to help somebody come out of that. Yeah. Calling it a journey as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, because feeling stuck, sometimes when you're feeling stuck, you can't see the wood for the trees. So having somebody to hold your hand while you're working your way through that maze is so useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely. Especially when you're overcoming like huge negative patterns or, you know, the dark things that you've collected through your life. In my experience, it was easy to get in a spiral of like self-hatred or self-punishment for creating it.
Yeah.
And so when you have another person to like actually make you see that it's not that, you know, it's not worth the self-hatred and that it's okay, and that the only way to get better is to actually love yourself instead of hating yourself.
Yes,
even
absolutely.
more.
And I think we tend to misunderstand or misinterpret when things happen, and we make it like it's me when it's not, but it's there. But it's hard to separate that when things are constantly not going right. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, very true.
Yeah, because we are responsible for creating our own reality, but also there are things in life that are presented to us that we get to choose or respond to that possibly we were creating and they come up for us, but because we were creating it in our subconscious mind, we weren't aware that we were creating it.
Yeah.
So then when it presents itself to us, we don't recognize in that moment how we created it.
Yeah.
And so and that can be very confronting because that's a reflection too, isn't it? That's the mirror as well.
Yeah.
And when we have somebody who can kind of like hold space for the process that you go through, because we have the capabilities within us, everybody does have the well within to draw on, but sometimes we don't have the wherewithal to draw on it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or some people aren't even aware that that the well is there and that they can draw on it.
It's like it's lost.
So
And we've lost sight of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then It's like somebody who loses their glasses.
Yeah.
And
Can't
they
see.
can't find them. They're like going, where are my glasses? And you just need someone there to pick the glasses up and say,
I
here's
love
your
that.
glasses.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can put them on, and then you're like, oh, I see
Yes.
again. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Now you're the master of analogies.
Yes, see? Because there's something else.
I love a good analogy.
Yeah, me too. And I think there's a beauty in when the time is right to connect with another person. Because sometimes we need that help to have somebody else show us what they see. Because it's
Yeah.
like you say, the glasses are down or they're lost, misplaced. And right now you're not seeing clearly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's plenty of times where you know, I've been in situations where I felt that I couldn't see
Yeah.
the path, or I couldn't see my way forward. And, you know, and I didn't know why I was in that situation, and I didn't know how I'd created it. And having a person to draw on in that moment really helped me. And it's also, I think, good to have somebody who doesn't interfere and doesn't manipulate or doesn't push you in a certain way. They're guiding you back to yourself and getting the answers out of you. I think that's really important when you're in the washing machine, like you were saying, or in the drying cycle.
Yeah.
And you're being tumbled around, you know.
Yep.
And you're losing your bearings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are some of the ways, apart from astrology, what are some of the ways that you find that people respond to, or that are very helpful in your line of work?
So I've only done, so my sort of using all of it together, I've done with friends in the past, but I haven't done it as a paid offering because I'm busy just getting clear on what will I be offering to people. So, but my one client, he's a guy, young guy, he's like in his mid-30s, and it's very interesting. He is as corporate as it gets, but he loves to hear spiritual stuff. And then he'll tell me like, how did you know that? Like, I didn't until you confirmed it. So that's been very interesting. He even calls me his sage, which I was like, wow, that is such a big compliment, but really, am I? And now I know. He knew something I didn't. Yeah, so I mean, I'm excited to see where it's going to go and what it's going to do for people. But socially, anyone who knows me, they know that this is literally, if you meet Claudia, she's going to tell you stuff you didn't think you were going to hear today. And that's just random stuff coming through. Yeah.
Yeah, so your intuition is always on. It's always going, and it's always speaking to you.
No. So I've learned to manage it. I've learned to not be on all the time. I think that was an important thing to learn. Because I would get drained pretty quickly. Even so, that's why I don't do this work for free. Energetically, it's not possible to do it for free. That's just how that's gonna go.
Yeah,
But,
I get that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's quite important.
yeah, and so many people will come to me and say, "But I just need this one thing quickly," and I go, "I'm sorry," and I've learned to understand why, because there is no quick answer to this. And while somebody's desperate for just one answer, that's not what's going to help them, or the thing they're looking for. It's not really what's going to make a difference for them. So that's the piece that I learned. But yeah, it's been very interesting when so studying with Denise Lynn, we had to do 88 practice readings, which was a lot. And in there, I could kind of see how my energy would run down. And it was because you're opening yourself up and you're calling in spirit helpers, etc. So that was kind of a live session. And I had to very quickly figure out what to do afterwards to pick myself up again. So yeah, my intuition is definitely not on all the time. So
Yeah,
I've learned
probably
to
a good
manage
thing.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be like chatter all the time, wouldn't it? It would just be overwhelming.
For me, it's the thing that I'm focusing on. I used to call this my creative process. So if I'm sitting down to do something or to figure something out, it's almost like all these things or all these pieces would come online and then we're focusing to do something. And I've learned to respect that it's precious, it's sacred. So I want to honor that. And yeah, definitely not, it's not on all the time. Yeah, I've learned.
How did you learn how to balance it? How to like mute it into the background? How did you? What practices do you use?
I think trusting myself. So understanding that I am enough. So I'm a piece of my soul. I'm doing the human experience. I'm having fun, all sorts of fun out here. And it's fine to do it. It's fine to carry on and to fall and to do things and to celebrate and to be excited. And when I consciously need help, I ask for it. And that's when things would come in. Yeah. So it's not a matter of suppressing or closing it at all. It's just saying I fully trust myself and to know that when I'm asking for help, I'm asking for help and receiving. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Does
That's beautiful.
make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect sense. Yeah. I think noticing those subtleties about yourself and how you process and how you operate, having that self-awareness is a lot of the kind of a lot of the journey of it. It's a lot of the understanding how things, because for me, I know that when I'm near water, if I get around water, my intuition starts to ramp up.
Right.
And that those channels open a lot more quickly for me.
Okay.
So when I'm in the shower, when I'm by the seaside, any kind of like water flowing, it really, things happen and I start to have downloads and I can intuit things and I can see things and hear things, that sort of stuff.
You can also manage it by using intentions. For example, if you want to just have a shower and just let it be the shower without all the other stuff coming into it, then you can ask for that and your spirit helpers will listen. They'll respect you. It's like looking them as your spirit crew and to say, this is what we're going to be doing, or this is what I need today. Like, I just want to be solo time. And then they'll, I suppose that's what I learned to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to ask you a question that's just come up through what you said. A friend of mine was telling me that sometimes your higher self can choose something and it will manifest in your life. Just like, I don't know, like maybe like a quick sickness like gastro or something that needs to be cleansed, say, out of your system. And you're not quite aware, like you don't know why it's happening as your earthly self. But your higher self can choose that for you.
Oh.
Because it's got a direct line into your subconscious. Have you ever heard that?
That doesn't sound like free will.
No. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking you.
It was just awkward silence. It was like, no, I haven't. That sounds like
terrible.
And yeah.
I think so. If that would happen to me, I would definitely see it as. I mean, the thing is, so this is my perspective on signs. There are signs all around us, but are they for us? And is it meant for us? And is it what I'm looking for? If you didn't clearly say, oh, I'm stuck on this issue and I don't know how to move the shelf today, asking a question to your guide or soul or intuition, whoever you're directing that question to, it needs a question for the signs to make sense. And then, if, for example, the signs are coming and you're not listening, then I do understand you getting gastro all of a sudden. But that would not be somebody picking something for you to punish you or to stop you in your tracks. That sounds a little bit...
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
bit,
a nefarious...
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a nefarious thing. It was more like similar to what you're saying, where maybe I needed that gastro to clean my system, or what we're talking gastro here, but
I know.
it could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, can I share my perspective on this?
Yes, please do.
I think I just connected what you both were saying, because if you needed to clear something out of your body, there would have been signs leading up to that you would have had, that you would have ignored, for it to get to a cold, or for it to get to that physical thing. Because,
but if you don't see the signs, you're not aware that you're ignoring them.
Yeah, but if you're tapped in, I feel like not, you don't always need to ask a question. Sometimes there might be, like, for example, like someone might come into your life and there would be, I don't know an example, but there's
it's
signs
like a
everywhere when you're tapped into your...
A surprise sign.
Yeah, surprise sign.
I don't know.
It's just like, I think if your body needs to be cleansed, there might be, for example, the week before you had eaten a bunch of junk food when you knew that maybe that wasn't the best choice for you.
Maybe.
Or maybe...
That actually makes more sense. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Especially if it's that tangible, that like you're getting a sickness.
Well, that sounds... Yeah, and it sounds plausible, because I tend to like do things like that where I know I shouldn't eat it because it's not that healthy for me.
It's your guilt.
But I eat it anyway because I enjoy eating it. So.
And it's your guilt catching up with you. You know, I think I was in my early 30s, so my son was a few years old, and I suddenly became aware of all of these diets, the obsession about coffee is good this week, and then next month there's a study that shows you shouldn't be drinking all this coffee, you have to do decaf, and I just thought, so much noise out there. And obviously if you look back now, it was for all the profit they were going to make. But yeah, so it's literally just whatever you ingest, make sure it's guilt-free. It's like...
And done with intention, I guess.
Yeah, not even that. If you are actually on a diet for a specific reason, maybe you're detoxing or whatever, and on Saturday you decide, but I do want cake and I do want popcorn and I do want this now. Go for it, but give yourself a break. Like be grateful.
Something I've realized, because diet culture has hit my generation pretty hard, and something, because when I first woke up, diet was like one of the first things that I chose to focus on improving. And it took a very long, rocky road of like feeling guilt, self-hatred, because I would be eating like really healthy, but first of all, I wasn't used to it, neither was my body, and I'm not someone personally who can just change habit. Like some people can, some people can just change. I can't. I have to go, well, I learnt this through this experience, but I have to do it with self-kindness and moving slowly and not just changing overnight. And I didn't do that when I first started.
And you pushed yourself.
I pushed myself too hard, and I tried being vegan as well, and it just, anything that I tried, I would feel really horrible. And through all of my self-experimenting and trying all these new things and new ways of eating, I realized that I feel best when I do sometimes eat cake, or when I do sometimes eat, you know, whatever food, you know,
unhealthy,
non-nutritious, I will say, non-nutritious food, because like, and I will walk away from eating that cake absolutely incredible, like feeling absolutely incredible in my body, genuinely. But it's about when I eat it, and if I'm eating it all the time, it's not the same.
Yep.
It's like if I'm eating it because I genuinely want it in that moment, and that's why,
Yep.
not because I'm addicted to cake. I feel so much better. And also just speaking love to my food, like just every time I eat, I speak gratitude to Mother Earth, I speak love, and I you know, and then that love goes into my body as well, and I feel amazing that way too. And I feel worse when I feel worse when I eat really good, but if I'm forcing myself to eat really good, I feel worse than if I would just actually maybe not worse, but I would feel just as bad. Maybe I'd feel just as bad if I was eating junk food.
It just breaks my heart. It really, really breaks my heart, because I mean, so when I was raised, my mom, I don't know, it was the 70s parenting. Very bad. I suppose it depends what system they followed. But it was, you had to eat everything on your plate. But my tongue, I was a hypersensitive child. I could not eat peas and beans. They were so bitter. Like literally my tongue rejected it. I couldn't eat cottage cheese. I couldn't eat sour cream. So for my German mother, I was an absolute disappointment. Like, it was shameful to her being a mom, a successful mom.
Oh, this sounds a bit familiar.
But for how long?
No, but it was only for a few years.
Yeah. And then, so in my 20s, I just ate whatever I wanted to, minus the peas and minus the beans and minus all the sour tasting stuff. And I realized it was just my mom's sort of pressure to eat the stuff. I didn't die because I didn't eat all of the stuff. Like nothing bad happened. And then 10 years later, 2000 came, and all of a sudden the diet obsession started. And you know what? It's a judgment game. It's all about judging. It's judging everything, every decision you make, when literally all your body wants most of the time is nutrition. It doesn't mean no cake, it doesn't mean no chocolate. It just means feed me so I can be energized and you can do stuff. That's as simple as it should be. Obviously, we all go through a food journey to decide what do we want, what do we like, etc. But there's so much judgment around eating and what we eat, especially women. I think with your generation, Juliet, guys as well. So I kind of see that with my son as well. He's done a lot of research on what to eat and what not to eat. So
again, though, that's looking outside ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not listening to our bodies.
Exactly.
And allowing our bodies to tell us what we want to eat.
Yeah. I mean,
like I think as children, like your body was literally telling you, do not put that in your mouth. Like your body was like rejecting it.
Yeah. The thing is though, there are ways to cook beans. That's all I'm going to say. Because as an adult, I loved a lot of the veggies, but not the way they were presented to me at the time.
Oh God, I so relate to what you're talking about.
So your thing with beans, mine was with tomatoes.
Oh, really?
I despise tomatoes, and Mum grew up Italian with an Italian father. And so
tomatoes are like,
it was a shame in the house. And I do say that. I was shamed for not liking tomatoes.
I expressed my disappointment that she
Very
didn't like them,
strongly.
but I never forced you to eat them.
No, you didn't. I was never forced to eat anything though.
No.
And
But it was like, oh, I'm Italian and you
also-
don't like tomatoes.
And also, another thing to mention was that I was an incredibly fussy eater, so I think it was like the cherry on top of the
I was worried.
of the cake.
Yeah, I worried. I did. I worried about her getting nutrition into her body.
Yeah, I was a really fussy eater, but I'm not anymore.
No.
It's really, my food. So like I would eat like the basic, most childlike things up until I was probably 15, and then when I was from there, I started expanding a bit more, and I would eat veggies, but it would be the same like four vegetables.
Yeah, it was very monotonous. Her diet was always the same.
But it's
foods.
fine.
But it never bothered me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never bothered me. But then when I got a bit older, I was ready to branch out, and I slowly branched out to new foods. And then recently, when I moved away to live up in Byron Bay, I was in control completely of all of my diet, all of my food. And at first that really worried me because I was worried if I would be responsible. But I surprised myself. No, I surprised myself
You did
so
really well,
much.
Juliet.
It has broadened my horizons with food by like 1,000 times over. I eat
That's amazing.
everything. Or I won't eat everything, but I will try most things unless I know, like, unless I've already tried it and I know I won't like it. But I will try almost anything, and I eat so much.
Now she eats food that I don't like.
Yeah.
See, and I was as a parent, I was paranoid that my son would be like me, who didn't want to eat half the stuff, but he ate like almost everything. So that was cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. It's definitely a parenting to feel guilty about the choices your kid made.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really do. We really take on
Crazy.
that. Yeah, like my mum, for me, my mum, it was a pride thing. Like, she wanted me to eat her food because she'd work all day and come home and cook a meal. And to her, if we didn't eat that meal, it was the height of disrespect.
Yeah.
And whether we were hungry or not, it didn't matter. She had cooked, and so now we were all sitting down to eat the meal that she'd made out of respect for how much
Providing
effort
it.
it had taken.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I really shouldn't laugh,
But you know it's true.
I know it's true, and it's just so backwards.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
So that's how meal times were for me.
Yeah.
But it's still, when I was raising Juliet, I was nowhere near as much of a food Nazi as my mum was.
Yeah.
But I still had attachment to her diet as her mother.
Yeah.
Also, I was a crazy eater too. I think if I was a parent, I would have been worried as well. Like, I would just eat. Like, the only thing on the menu that I would eat at a restaurant is, like, chicken nuggets and chips. I wouldn't even have the fish. I didn't even want the fish. Like, that was... It was pretty...
It was familiar to her. Juliet was... textures were a big thing.
Yeah.
For Juliet. She explored life... She didn't explore life through food, put it that way. She explored life
through every
other ways.
Yeah,
food needed to be very bland and dry.
Gosh.
Bland and dry. They were the two requirements. And it worried me. I did.
and brown.
Yeah.
We can also call it
Or white.
simple, just simple food. Bland and dry. That's funny.
To Mum's opinion.
Yeah, it's my opinion. I used to say to her, I remember saying to her, how can you eat
I
that?
remember.
It's so dry. It's so dry. Put some sauce on it, or
No.
have something to help you digest this food.
No, it's good for my intestines. It gets all
Yeah,
this
actually,
stuff out.
that's very true as well. I watched this, there was a period when I switched my TV off, and then what do you do now? So I got into YouTube, and there was a guy who was sharing, it's a British documentary called Body Hit. So fascinating. And he was pro the body and how are we treating our body. He would say things like, if you do a diet change, you need to give your body 90 days, 3 months, for your body to believe that what you changed, you're serious about. Now, how many diets
Right.
last 90 days or beyond? 0. And he also did a test about what happens when you eat a plate of food that's got more than two, am I just going to call it ingredients, like bits of food on it? He said it slows down your digestion. So that's not something you're going to have for lunch.
Right.
Or if you want to still be active and alert afterwards, that's not what you're going to have because it slows down your body. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
So Julia's
And
onto
for
something.
me, yes. So that's what I was going to say.
The Juliet diet coming to you.
Oh, I'll do the same, by the way. My stuff's very simple. But it does have sauce, a bit of sauce.
Yeah. No. I still have stuck by not liking sauce.
Yeah,
I
this
don't
day.
like sauce.
Well,
very much.
do you know,
I'll
so
have a little bit.
I use salad. So I create a little bit of a salsa if I want sauce. And so that's a little bit of balsamic vinegar and olive oil. And when those two come together, they do magic. So that'll be my sauce if I want sauce, yeah. So keep things really, really just uncomplicated.
Very simple. Yeah.
Yeah. And also vinegar is it can be quite good for you.
Yeah.
I love the way it tastes.
Yeah, particularly apple cider with the mother in it. It's supposed to be really good for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think we were going to get into my eating habits today. But
Yours. I'm sure somebody will benefit.
It's such a big topic though, Jay.
yeah. I was a strange child, but that's
No,
fine.
you weren't.
No, I love it. I own it. It's fine.
I think, you know
But
what?
I was.
I think for most of us, we're weird, or we look back and we say, I was a strange child. If you look at the education system, and if you look at the 5 learning styles, literally the way education was set up was for one style to get straight A's all the time. And that's for people who learn by listening, remembering, writing it down. The rest, and I'm going to just irresponsibly say, let's say the rest is 80%. If each learning style is 20%, the rest of us, it was a struggle. And so, I think the way we were raised, part of those things, the challenges actually inform your greater purpose in life in a backwards kind of a way. Because it's things that you saw as lacking or that were wrong or not quite right. And they're actually the things that you'll enjoy helping others with in some capacity, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, who knows. Not around food, maybe, specifically. Julia's going to write a book about how not to teach your kids to eat food.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But she grew up okay, even with all of that, and she's beautiful and healthy, and so I think the moral of the story of your story, Juliet, is
let it go.
Yeah, let it go. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I think the baby's body automatically rejects flavors it doesn't like, even if you then say, I'll try this 2 more times to make sure, and then we try a year later, for example. But the body knows. Ultimately, the body knows. So, everything's presented and you only want one thing. That's all fine.
Yeah.
It's like when you watch those videos of kids trying foods for the first time. you know, there's
There's
kids
immediate
who will put
feedback.
broccoli.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's kids who'll eat the broccoli and they'll be like, "Oh, this is great,"
Yep.
and they eat it and they're yum,
Yep.
yum, yum, yum.
Yep.
And then there's other kids that are like, "What are you feeding me this poison
Yeah.
for? It's disgusting," and they spit it out.
Yeah, so that's their tongue is giving that immediate feedback to say, "Oh God, no,
Yeah.
this is not to be eaten." Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're a child, you don't have the brain like development at that point to be like, oh, it's rude to project this. Like,
right.
you know, you're just like, I don't want this. And you have stronger intuition, I think, stronger intuitive connection with your body as well. So yeah, there was definitely times recently where I would go back and try foods that I didn't like before, like mushrooms, for example. For broccoli was a big one that I didn't like, but
She loves it
love broccoli.
Oh, that's cool.
I hated cheese. Before. I resented cheese. Everyone freaked out when I told them. I would create
Can relate.
arguments around this. People would get offended when I told them I didn't like cheese. And I kind of understand why now, because cheese is amazing. But I never got it before. I was like, I just don't like cheese. Can you get off my back? Like,
yeah. And
what changed, do you think? What changed for you with cheese?
I don't know. I woke up.
It's very strong, though. It's a very strong flavor. For example, the half my family is German, the other is Afrikaans, and part of the Afrikaans culture is you're gonna make the broccoli, but you're gonna cover it with a cheese sauce. And my brain could not combine the two. It's like, oh, so I'm not gonna have broccoli today. That's fine. Like, cheese does not belong in broccoli. As a child, it's like, what's wrong with this picture? But everybody was eating it. They were so excited. It's like, no. Yeah, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Do you eat it now, though, Claudia?
Yeah, so I really got into cheese probably late 20s. It's like what Juliet's doing or has done is you go out and you explore, okay, a roll with cheese. No. But if we add lots and lots and lots of tomatoes, I'll try this. And then eventually you kind of get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My love of cheese came from, first of all, so I would make this pasta dish that was really cheap, but because like I would be trying to save money, and it was really cheap, but it would have like
no flavor,
hardly any flavor.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. It was good. Don't get me wrong.
Flavor costs money,
but it was
not necessarily.
It was pretty bland. Like not. I could still eat it, but it was just like there needs to be something else. And I remember, why don't I just get a bit of parmesan and put it on, and like I think it will make it a lot better. And so I did that, and I was like, oh my god, where has parmesan been my whole life? Like I've never really liked parmesan, and I love parmesan. So it started with parmesan, and then I've been branching out from there. And I don't know, I love cheese.
Actually, so on the simple side of things, I had an Italian angel bless my life when I was around 17. And so in Namibia, we had the United Nations kind of just land down for a few years doing what they were doing. But in my life, it meant I had like a mother figure come in to show me how to cook simple things using garlic. So this is what she taught me.
Yeah.
You have your rice finished, or you have your noodles finished, your spaghetti. Then you take a little bit of oil, so not necessarily olive oil, because I think olive oil heats up too quickly. But you have oil in the pan, and you let that heat up, but not too hot, and you put fresh garlic in there. And you literally just need to flavor it, and then pour all that over the spaghetti or the rice. And it was divine. Wow.
Yeah.
And even just get a fresh sprig of coriander or parsley in the kitchen for the week, and then you just add that on, make it nice and fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah. That was, and there was so
Yum.
much love in there, obviously, as well. It's like, yeah, this is good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, moral of the story is simple food doesn't have to be bland.
Yeah.
No. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, because when I started exploring, so Namibia, there's a huge influence from Portuguese cooking. So, you grow up with your own culture and it's boring, 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 same, same, same. And so the first thing I explored was Chinese food. And wow, I ate all the veggies, like all of them, beans included, because everything was just cooked on high heat in the wok with garlic and ginger. That's
Yeah.
literally what this one restaurant was doing. You come in, you have this plate of, here's your broccoli, flavored the same. Here's your whatever, or like all these different veggies, all flavored the same, but the broccoli tasted so nice. And then the beans would taste wonderful. And then whatever else, the cabbage was tasting absolutely amazing. It just elevated the flavor of the vegetable. So that's what I've been doing
Yeah.
with veggies ever since. Yeah.
Oh, it's making me hungry.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's good time for you.
I want Chinese food
Oh, yum. Can we order some? Yeah. I love food. I love food so much. It's so funny, actually, how I went from being petrified of food and trying new food and only liking those two things
Yeah.
to now food is like honestly my love language. Like that's how
That's
I show my love
beautiful.
for people, that is by cooking
Yeah.
and making food, and that's how I love myself. Like that's probably
Yeah.
my biggest way of self-love is if I'm feeling down, I'll cook myself a meal or make myself a hot chocolate or something like
Yeah.
that.
It's nourishing. Yeah.
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 It's beautiful
So
because
fun.
Yeah, and
it also helps, it also helps if you look at your body as a younger version of you, like a child. How do you speak to a 3-year-old and kind of treat your body like that? I mean, if you look inside your body, it's like this amazing organization of epic proportions.
Yeah, that's right.
But at the same time, yeah, be kind to yourself. Yeah, you were saying?
No, I was saying like being kind to yourself through food,
Yeah.
like it being a self-soothing thing and a pick-me-up
Yeah.
in your life, and it's really the quickest way to respond to yourself in a loving way, to just go out to the kitchen
Yeah.
and make something that tastes great
Yeah.
and that you know is going to make
So
you feel
beautiful.
good after you've eaten it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the quickest and most effective
And it's like,
self-love that's out.
and it's like you going there, you have the idea, you connecting with the food and how to prepare it, how to put it all together, and your love is just automatically infused into that already. So nice. Yeah. I like that.
Love it. We're at 53 minutes now, so we're nearly at the end. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us, Claudia?
No, I hope that you two keep interviewing for as long as possible because you're amazing at it. Absolutely excellent.
Oh, that's
thank
lovely.
you.
Thank you for saying that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, that
We really enjoy it, don't we, Juliet?
Yeah.
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 Even though we tease each other sometimes.
I like talking about cheese. We should do that again.
I know what you're going to have for dinner now.
We're having Chinese, definitely.
So would you,
With garlic and ginger.
would you sprinkle Parmesan on that?
She probably will.
I would try it. I won't lie. I would try it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, okay. Wow. I feel complete.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on again, Claudia.
Oh, you're welcome.
We love having you.
And yeah, it was Valentine's Day today, so I hope you had a beautiful love day.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it's kind of been a bit normal.
Say you're single without saying you're single. I totally forgot.
Yeah, single by choice over here. It's just love yourself.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
wow.
You're so funny.
Okay. Well,
All right.
Claudia, will you come on the show again?
Absolutely.
Soon?
Yes, please do.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Call me anytime.
Oh, I don't know. There's just something about your energy. It's seriously like wise, but also so down to earth
Oh,
funny.
thank you.
and funny.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to laugh.
Yeah, so do we, if you haven't noticed.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And have a beautiful evening.
You too.
Yes.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank
And
you.
have a beautiful day or night wherever you are, people watching. And, we'll see you again soon. I think that's it.
All
Yep.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.